This is Dr. Martin's supplemental lecture, chapter 17, section 2. Last time we were talking about a group of eukaryotic organisms, unicellular organisms that were classified as protozoans. And we talked about 4 categories, or I listed 4 categories based on some structural differences. We talked about protozoans that move using flagella, and sometimes those are called zooflagellates. Talked about 2 examples, Giardia and trypanosomes. Today I'm going to mention 3 other categories. So a second category here are the protozoans that move by extensions of the cell membrane, and those extensions are called Pseudopodia. So we're going to refer to this group as protozoans with Pseudopodia. And I will mention 2 specific groups of organisms. The first one is the genus Amoeba, and the amoeba is an irregularly shaped organism, single cell. It can change its shape very readily, and it moves by extending the cell membrane forward, and it actually uses those also for feeding. So for example, in this organism, so this would be the nucleus. These 2 extensions are called Pseudopodia. So the pseudopods used for locomotion and feeding. For example, many amoeba can ingest other smaller organisms using Pseudopodia. So let's say that this is an amoeba, and here are some small unicellular creatures that it sees as prey. It will extend the cell membrane to eventually surround the prey. So these 2 structures will meet and ultimately enclose the small cellular organisms, and those will become enclosed into a food vacuole and ultimately digested. So usually a lysosome, remember lysosomes, will also be involved in the digestion of those organisms. A second group of protozoans that use Pseudopodia are actually, there's a couple diagrams of this group in your textbook. So we're going to get rid of this. The second group are called called foraminiferans. Your textbook abbreviates that as forams. That's not actually a technical name. These are marine organisms. They have a hard outer shell, and the Pseudopodia actually extend through pores of that shell. And if you see figure 17-5, that gives you a picture of that type of organism. All right, so that's the second category of protozoans. The third category of protozoans are the protozoans that have cilia. This is number 3. These are sometimes just referred to as ciliates. And the main organism that I want you to know is called Paramecium. And there's one species called Paramecium caudatum that's fairly common. This is an organism that's completely surrounded on the cell membrane with cilia. It has a structure that's called the oral groove, and this is where food substances can enter the organism. Also has 2 nuclei, a macronucleus, which is the larger one that's involved in cellular activities, the small one, the micronucleus, is involved in sexual reproduction. So the cilia have a number of functions, but 2 main functions is for locomotion, actual movement, and there are some ciliates that actually use cilia to bring in food. To the oral groove. Okay, I'm going to stop there. So this is, I haven't quite finished chapter 17, section 2. I will do so in the second segment of the supplemental lecture.